This audio article is brought to you by psychicaccess.com, where gifted psychics and mediums share their wisdom to elevate your spirit and empower your life.
Spirit signs from your loved ones. Have you ever experienced the presence of a deceased loved one in your home, or the feeling that someone from the spirit realm is trying to communicate with you? Well, it is not your imagination. The spirits of our deceased loved ones can give us signs and messages that they are near and watching over us from the other side. As a psychic, I have experienced many signs of visitation from my loved ones in spirit. For example, I know that my mother is still helping me with life issues since she passed away many years ago. Growing up with her, she would not have encouraged my psychic abilities. She could have helped me gain a much better understanding of my gifts because she was also psychic. After she passed away, I began to notice how she was beginning to help me understand my psychic gifts. At first, this did not make sense, since she never helped me much while she was alive. Then my guides showed me that since her death, she had gone through her karmic life review, which led her to new insights. After we transition, our soul experiences a life review in the spirit realm. During this time, we are shown all the good and bad we have done in the world, including our achievements and mistakes, from the perspective of those whose lives we have affected. Through this process, we are then made aware of our karmic debt, which is the primary consequence of our past life choices. We identify our weaknesses, struggles, and mistakes from our most recent life so that we can begin to resolve them as we move forward. Paying off our karmic debt is therefore about making amends for the choices and behaviors that caused it in the first place. To pay off karmic debt, we must take action to correct our mistakes and take responsibility for our wrongdoing. We begin to do this from the afterlife until we have made enough progress to qualify for another soul plan, to have another opportunity to return to the earth plane for our continued soul evolution. These attempts to make amends are often the reason our deceased loved ones visit us to guide, support, and help us with signs, dreams, and messages. Unresolved issues or unfulfilled promises will force spirit to connect with us to provide comfort, healing, resolution, or closure. Acknowledging and addressing these unresolved issues will bring much healing and peace to you and your loved one, so embrace their efforts and work toward acceptance and forgiveness. My mother passed away on St. Patrick's Day, March 17, 1997. The time of her passing was exactly 12:12, and when we got home from the hospital, all of our clocks were flashing 12:12. Since then, whenever her spirit visits me, the alarm clock in my bedroom has been flashing 12:12, so I know she is there. These days, I tend to look at my phone or unlock it at exactly 12:12 whenever she visits during the day, and I wake up at night. Back when I had the electronic alarm clock, I walked into my bedroom one day and saw this very bright light. It was strange because the shades were down, so the light could not be coming from outside. Once again, the clock flashed 12:12. The next day, one of my brothers called me with news about our oldest brother. He had been in a really bad car accident, and originally they didn't know if he was going to make it or not. My brother called me to let me know that our brother was doing really well now and that he would be able to come home next week. After we ended the call, I suddenly remembered the flash of light and the blinking of the clock the night before. At that moment, I looked over and my watch was flashing 12:12 again. The number 12 has significant spiritual meaning in many cultures and traditions. It is believed to symbolize higher wisdom or consciousness. In numerology, 12 is the number of completion. The so-called mirror hour of 12:12 is also associated with the concept of divine completeness, as it often represents the completion of a cycle or spiritual journey. But for me, the number 12 means something much more personal. It reminds me from time to time that my mom is still around and looking out for her boys. So if the clock keeps catching your attention at a particular time, it could also be one of your deceased loved ones saying hello. When I was a little boy, my mother used to play the hymn Onward Christian Soldiers for us on Sundays because we were too young to go to church. Before she died, she asked me to visit her grave every year on her birthday and play that song for her, and I have done so every year since she left this life. In those days, my father went to church alone while my mother stayed home with us. But he was not as interested in Christian music and hymns as my mother was. He worked long hours as a firefighter for the city of Columbus, Ohio, and usually had a hard time keeping his eyes open during the services. The only real reason he went to church was to make my mother happy. Dad did, however, enjoy the music played by the marching band before every Ohio State football game. We had to listen to the music with him, and it seemed like an eternity to us kids. But we had no choice. After all, the Ohio State marching band is the pride of the Buckeyes. At that time, my father still had an old-fashioned record player with a needle and a pressed vinyl record. It was his wish that when he was no longer with us, we would remember him by playing that very same marching band music. After he passed away, we had a big problem finding and finally playing that old vinyl recording, so we had to buy a CD recording instead. But we were able to fulfill his wish. It has been many years since both of my parents passed away. Sometimes I hear Onward Christian Soldiers echoing for a moment somewhere in my house or my brother and sister's house. And when I play that Ohio State Marching Band CD, my dad lets me know he is still around because I can smell his cigar smoke in the house. Understanding signs and messages from the afterlife can bring much comfort and solace to those of us who have lost a loved one. These signs and messages can come in many forms. Some common signs include symbolic objects. Finding objects such as coins, feathers, or seeing certain animals or insects in unusual places can be a sign from the afterlife. The symbolic meaning can be very personal and unique to you as the recipient. Visitation dreams. Dreams of deceased loved ones are often perceived as actual visitations in which the spirit communicates with the dreamer. These dreams tend to be vivid and emotionally charged, leaving a lasting impact on the dreamer. Spirits like to visit us in our dreams because it is easier for them to get our attention in the dream state without the interference of our waking, fully conscious mind. Synchronicities. Strange coincidences, meaningful patterns in everyday occurrences, or unusual events are often signs from the afterlife. This could include hearing a meaningful song repeatedly or at the right time, or repeatedly encountering a certain symbol, number, or word. Electrical disturbances. Our loved ones often make their presence known through various electrical disturbances such as flickering lights, mysteriously turning on appliances, strange radio or television signals, and malfunctioning digital devices. Psychic perceptions. Highly sensitive, intuitive people or those with psychic or mediumistic abilities may sense or even physically feel the presence of their deceased loved ones through subtle clair signals, such as a sudden rush of emotion, clairempathy, a comforting scent, clairolfaction, or unexplained sensations such as tickling, goosebumps, or temperature changes, clairsomatica. Paranormal manifestations. Although very rare, some people, especially those who are clairvoyant or clairaudient, experience paranormal manifestations of their loved ones, such as seeing a physical apparition of them or hearing their voice. In my experience, the key to interpreting signs and messages from the afterlife is to trust your intuition. If you feel that a certain event or symbol is a sign from your deceased loved one, don't dismiss it as a mere coincidence. Instead, trust your intuition and embrace the possibility that it could be a meaningful message meant just for you. Embrace these signs and take comfort in the knowledge that your deceased loved ones are watching over you and sending you their love from the other side. It may also be a good idea to discuss your experiences with trusted family and friends who knew the deceased. They may have had similar experiences or recognize the significance of the signs and messages, giving you further validation and reassurance that you're not alone in your interpretation. However, if you have a very skeptical family, it is best to keep it to yourself, as they are very likely to taint the experience for you. Communication from the afterlife is also something we can miss because we sabotage it. One of the key factors that affects Spirit's ability to communicate with us is our emotional state and receptivity. The wrong state of mind can act as a barrier to perceiving signs and receiving messages. When we are open, calm, and emotionally centered, we are much more likely to notice subtle signs and feel the presence of our deceased loved ones. But negative emotions, such as fear, anger, or skepticism, create barriers that hinder our ability and openness to perceive these signs and messages. I know from experience that those who have influenced us in our lives, both positively and negatively, will let us know that they are still with us when they cross over to the other side. Believe me, they miss us as much as we miss them. Remember also to always cherish your loved ones who are influencing your life now while they are still with you, for this creates a positive foundation that will remain in your heart and soul for the rest of your life. We never know how little time we have left with those we love and care about.
About the author. Raymond. Growing up on the streets of Columbus, Ohio, Raymond learned at a very young age that he was gifted in many ways, including the ability to read someone's eyes and using a regular deck of playing cards to read the future. His mother was from a Native American family, namely the Blackfoot tribe, and his father was German. Raymond discovered that both sides of his family had a psychic legacy. Over the years, he has gained additional knowledge from books and by talking to trusted family members. Raymond has been doing psychic reading for others for over 3 decades, and over the years, he gained many loyal clients from all walks of life.
This audio article was brought to you by psychicaccess.com, where all new customers get a free reading, because we are that confident you will love us. Visit us today at psychicaccess.com.